to have Marius Fransman on this edition, because not only does he come into a space that I think is going to be more contested than before, but he's a skilled politician. And my first question to him, of course, is, hi Marius, and why PMC?
PMC, Daniel, also good seeing you again.
Thank you.
PMC, the People's Movement for Change, it's really an idea that came together over a long period of time. If one go back in time, we're now 30 years into our democracy, come 2024. We had these aspirations, and I was a young man when we got into our liberation. We had this aspiration that we will have a society where the grandmother can walk to the shop and not be beaten up by young children. We as the dawn of a democracy took place, we were in those long queues, and obviously I was an organizer in the African National Congress, and we were taking people to the polls. We were working towards knowing that we will have equality, we will have justice, we will have freedom, and we will make sure that we distribute to those that did not have in the past. Unfortunately, that didn't take place. Yes, South Africa has gone far, but the mounting problems in our country, the issues, and the fact that there's a distance between people and the state, this was supposed to be a people's government. When Nelson Mandela, when our father of the nation came out of prison, we all knew we are clinging to this hope that the nation will empower the most ordinary of ordinary people. That did not take place over the last 20 years and more. We've seen a distance emerging, a social distance, economic distance. We saw a elitism in our country. That's strange, because those that are now wanting to be elitist were actually coming from poor communities. We saw a value system creeping in that was not a value system that we espoused to when we were in the struggle. It's a value system of greed, of corruption, of nepotism, of a narrow agenda to eat as much for themselves and not for the broader society, to make sure that there's more equality.
But let me ask you this. So, in your vision, and I've probably been fortunate to have had a look at the documents that you have put together on the PMC, you figure that now the questions you've been asking over the last 8-10 months gives you courage to think you can go out and put together an organization that can address those inequities on the ground?
So, if one are serious with people's power, if we are serious with restoring the strength of people into the center of the body politic of South Africa, if we are serious on saying that there's real issues out there, the issues are systemic. The issues are not only who leads the country. There's questions around the concurrent pieces of legislation. There's questions around the Constitution of South Africa and how the Constitution was birthed. And it's all those deep issues. And as we've traversed the length and breadth of South Africa through a non-profit company called the People's Movement for Civil Society Organizations, we engage community NGOs, we engage street committees, we engage various organizations, gender organizations, disabled organizations, rural communities, fishing communities, mining communities, informal settlements, all of those communities, backyard dwellers at Cape Flats, Christian community, Muslim community, the Hindi community. We engage all people. And what came out of all of these discussions is there's a moment for change. There's something that needs to be done, because we can't have a situation that load shedding, managed by some arbitrary person or two somewhere, that the implication of COVID that we've seen, we see that there is a hopelessness in society. We see the winds of depression of potential suicide emerging in our communities. The middle income, we sit here and we realize that in 2 years, 3 years, many of the people that are today middle class defined is going to be unemployed. They're going to have their vehicles being taken, repossessed, their houses, etc. And we are saying the PMC must stand firm with people to try and find solutions for complicated issues. So yes, we're now at the moment, after 8-9 months of engagement, that we've got a baseline document. And that document on a vision, on a mission, on a policy trajectory is saying it is possible to change things. But it's possible to change things if we all stand united. If we are saying that we cannot continue with the party political structures. We can't vote for those party political structures anymore. We, as communities, we must find our own path. And that's why we brought this broad umbrella front, kind of a front to protect the interests of the poor, the working class, and the middle income, and get business to work in partnership with us to make changes next year.
Yeah, and it's probably not succeeded in doing that. But listening to what you were just describing about within the farming sector and any innovation and transformation that can happen with the participation of all the stakeholders, then where did affirmative action and BEE or BBBEE go wrong?
It's precisely because of its application. I'm going to give an example. I'm being seen as a person from the colored community. But the word colored was introduced in 1950, I think, under the apartheid, the 1948 process. The word colored in a way therefore deprives me of my link to my ancestral land. It deprives me of my link to my ancestral slave link. It deprives me from the fact that my grandfather would have been a slave walking through rivers in Calvinia, which I didn't know, came to know about it the last 3 years. It deprives one of the fact that they were able to say, but actually in Greenpoint Common area, if you drill down, if you go and stand quiet, you're going to feel and hear our ancestors, the Khoi, the San, and Bushman. You're going to hear the trumpets wave through the depth and breadth of that area. So what has happened is the continuous use post-94 of the word coloured, it's essentially denying the fact that there's a right for restitution on the land. That means when it comes to the affirmative action issue, when it comes to issues of BE, black, the coin in the context of affirmative action and broad-based empowerment is also black, is also African. Because as the Zulu, as the isiXhosa, as the Venda, the Khoi, the San, and the Bushman has equal right to be understood as traditional leaders in the context of the indigenous community. And that gives you an element of the concern you've raised earlier, which I didn't touch, about the youth. Young people in South Africa is being told by old people in South Africa how to be young people. The PMC is saying it's time that those of us that were in government, the times that those of us, whether DA people, ANC people, IFP, or wherever, we must start saying, let's open the door. Let's take our experience and guide the youth to be in the center stage. So what is the PMC doing? We're creating an intellectual bank of experienced people. That's why we have people from the DA, ANC, Good, ID, cross-section of people in society, PAC, that said they're joining PMC. We're having experienced economists and business people that essentially are big players, but that they were they were informal traders. They're saying they're joining this machine. But the reason why we must join it is so that we can help the young people to be orientated into what governance and state processes are, so that they can actually lead us over the next 2 or 3 years. So that is it, and therefore we're calling on youth to join this journey of the PMC, to be propelled into authority, so that we as the older generation must actually start to stand back.